Academia.
Okay, so welcome to My Hero Academia podcast, episode 67. This week I am here, Sophie, and with me is Gary.
Hello.
Gary, have you done any more any fan art recently?
I did one like 2 days ago, where Dabby burned some people alive, and then Spinner's like, "Don't you think you're a little harsh?" And then Dabby's like, "They posted scanlations," so then Spinner spits on their bones.
Yeah, I saw that one. I was trying to remember which one it was, but yeah, that one's pretty funny.
It's been a while though. I haven't done one in a while.
I like the concept.
Yeah, yeah. Other than that, I've been had 2 trips right in a row, so I've been pretty busy.
And also with us is James, the host of the Kicking Stones podcast, who has also been really busy this week. It's a tired podcast.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Which episode is the podcast in at the moment?
We haven't even recorded episode 6 yet. I've been waiting on my coworker, but we've been working, a lot of hours. So today is technically our only day off. So I'm gonna try to get him after we're done with this episode today.
Nice.
Yeah. We'll be on chapter 6 and 7, I believe.
Cool. And also joining us after not being on for a while is Marion, one of the co-hosts of the Good Friends podcast.
Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you for coming on again. You've not been on for a while, so do you mind telling us what you thought of the last arc and where this one is going, without this week's chapter spoilers?
For the most part, I think the last arc picked up a lot of steam towards the end. I really enjoyed it. The conclusion itself wasn't something I was really expecting, but then seeing it happen, I was like, oh, okay, everything kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I'm just curious to see how the parallels are gonna stack up with Deku, matching up against Shigaraki. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing where the story moves on.
The ending did make a lot of sense when it happened, but no one seemed to have predicted it. But afterwards, we were like, oh yeah, what a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think it was too dark, or were you okay with it?
I think I was okay with it. I feel like when it came to the relationship between All For One and Shigaraki, there was a lot of implications, especially with when you go back to his confrontation with All Might and the whole revelation that Shigaraki is supposed to be Shimura's grandson. I was like, whoa, this is really messed up. But then to see just how deep the rabbit hole goes, I guess. It's been in the works, I guess. And the how do you describe it? The trail of breadcrumbs was placed perfectly.
Yeah. So we have some news this week. So if you are in Japan only, you can purchase your advance tickets for the My Hero Academia Heroes Rising, but only in Japan. And you're limited to 3 edition clear files when you buy advance tickets. The next bit of news is that we find out a bit more about the 2 main villains for the upcoming film. And have you guys seen the pictures of them?
I have not.
I saw the poster, but
do you want to go? Yeah, if you go onto the our podcast Twitter, you can have a look at the 2 villains quickly. One of them is called 9, and I'm guessing she's the one who's in black with the little mouth thingy with grey hair. Is it? Maybe it's not a she. I'm just assuming a she because of the blonde hair. What a sexist move. And 9 will be voiced by Inoue Yoshio. And the one with the long red hair, who has been compared to Medusa from Inhumans.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's being voiced by Imada Mio. And both of these voice actors, I couldn't find any anime that they've done in the past, but they've done a lot of films and especially TV series, but TV series of genre of drama. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's going to give anything away about their characters. 9 definitely looks more stoic, but Slice looks like she could be quite dramatic.
Yeah. Well, quick comment on her. Like, what reminded me of Medusa anyway was the same hair color and clothing color. Like, she's got the same color scheme, and she's also got hair powers, even though it's not exactly the same, because Medusa can kind of like control her hair to like grab stuff and do stuff. Slice can use her hair as a blade, but it's still similar.
Do we know the powers of Nine if we know the powers of Slice?
No, they weren't announced yet. I think he's supposed to be more mysterious. You know, there's another thing too. Like I saw two versions of the poster, and one it was like kind of blacked out in the background, but like I saw one more recently, and it's got two characters to their left, and it has Hawks on the right, so we know Hawks is going to be in the movie, which is kind of shocking, because he'll be the introduction to anime-only people, but they probably want to use him in marketing sooner than he would appear in the anime. That's my guess.
Well, I was going to say that there was people complaining about Hawks being in the poster before the season 4, and I'm like, well, that's not the first time that's happened. Like, you know, there's plenty of animated movies that have had characters that haven't shown up yet in, like, other series, so I'm just like, chill, guys. It's okay.
Yeah.
Don't get mad. And there's also two more villains on the left side of that poster. It looks like a canine or a wolf, a husky. I don't know what it is. It's a dog type person, and then like a ninja in the back. I don't know who those two are yet.
Yeah.
The wolf is smoking a cigar.
It's McGruff. The crime dog.
Taking a bite of the crime.
I'm trying to see if I can see anything else on the poster that you mentioned.
There's those two kids in the front, like right behind Deku and Bakugo. I don't know. And it's right in the center.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read something too on Twitter about them, that they're like inhabitants of the island they're on. So I guess this takes place on an island, and the kids are just, they're helping them, and then all heck breaks loose, I guess.
From the way that it's framed, I'm assuming probably one of them is gonna end up like admiring Deku, the other one Bakugo. And it'll tie in maybe thematically to like how they save by being powerful, and they're gotta get powerful to save, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
I wonder if Bakugo will get his first in-world fangirl.
I would love to see that.
He deserves one. We're being the other main character next to Izuku, and he's got loads of admirers.
Oh, yeah.
One that punched him in the balls.
Isn't that how all fans start out?
Yeah.
At least on the internet.
I wonder if I ever meet Justin Briner, if I like introduce myself that way, if that would go over well.
Oh no.
Oh no, yeah, I think you won't be able to attend that con ever again.
I know. Sorry.
Maybe if you explain it to him while you're getting handcuffed, you might.
Whatever. It's a reference. It's okay.
It could be a good meet and greet picture.
Yeah.
And Gary, what's your news?
Okay, so the third series of the My Hero Funko Pop came out, I think Friday. I don't think All for One's out yet, but he's coming. I have insider knowledge that for NYC Comic Con. There are exclusives of Dabby and Stain, and they will be exclusive. The Stain one will be at GameStop this coming Friday, October 4th, and then the Dabby one will be at Hot Topic. So if you want to pick up those, they're like a limited edition, but yeah, that's where they'll be.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very pretty. They're very well done.
I like the fact that Dobby is at Hot Topic, because the style like completely matches up.
Yeah.
Dobby working at a Hot Topic.
Yeah, he could totally do that.
What is Hot Topic?
Reveal.
It's kind of like I don't even know how to explain, because they're not really a punk rock store no more, but they kind of do like, it's not even a goth store anymore either. What is
it's
it
like
now?
alternative, kind of like I don't know. Like if you think of like mid 2000s like goth and emo culture, like you would think of those kids shopping at Hot Topic.
There was a lot of Nightmare Before Christmas merchandise there for a long time.
Yeah. They have a good chunk of Disney and anime stuff. They have a lot of My Hero exclusive stuff.
Yeah.
Box Lunch kind of took over the Disney side of it. They're like a sister store.
Yeah, I think they hold a collab with Crunchyroll now too.
Okay, cool.
In May, it's called Anime or something like that.
Ooh.
Very clever.
It's worse than my dad jokes.
Oh, cool. So people can only get their stuff at Hot Topic?
Yes.
Certain things. Yeah.
Yeah, depending on whatever collaborations.
I'm so jealous.
You don't have one over in the UK? I'm sorry.
I'm glad you apologised.
We're sorry we don't cater to you.
Thank you for that bit of news. It's very cool. So the next bit of news is, well, not really news, but the next My Hero Academia Vigilantes chapter came out. It's so
Sad.
good. Yeah, more of Azawa's past backstory, which is canon, if you weren't aware. Mm-hmm. Who's read it?
I read it. I'm finally caught up, so I read it.
Ooh, so you've all read it.
I'm not caught up, but I want to catch up soon. This week I'm gonna have a couple days off, so I'll probably tackle it then.
The Azawa backstory seems so good. Already the parallels between himself and Shinso are really sticking out.
Yeah.
Oh man, now I really want to read it. He's like my favorite teacher.
Yeah, I'm really liking it though. They're doing a really good job. I was just gonna say I still really like the first Knuckle Duster arc with the bee girl. Like that's probably my favorite, but this is getting there. This is really good so far.
Yeah.
I'm just a little disturbed by like Midnight being like full frontal all the time.
Yeah. She's been watching some Kill la Kill, so.
Yeah.
She's had very little character development in these 30 years since this took place.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
She'll be 84 years old when she'll still be dressing the same. It'll be nuts.
Oh my gosh. It'll be revolutionary though.
Yep.
The last bit of news isn't really news, but I think someone told Horikoshi that he hadn't put enough on Twitter. So we have a new drawing of Toga, and he just wrote, Toga! with 2 exclamation marks above it. Well, some people at his editing team just say, Horikoshi, you need to engage more with your fans.
This will tide him over.
Twice already liked it and retweeted it.
And measured it. For good measure. Yeah.
And so we are on to the chapter.
This is My Hero Academia.
Okay, so this is My Hero Academia, chapter 244, recommended reading. And we start off right after the end of the last chapter. And the boys are all kicking in gear, following Endeavour, grabbing their hero uniform briefcases. To watch, we have to keep up. And Shoto, he told us to stand back and watch, but... So I think maybe if the other 2 weren't there, he might have done what his dad said and just stood on the side of the street.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, they remind me of like the Deal or No Deal models with their briefcases.
Oh, the briefcases?
We have some people just watching in surprise. And then we see Endeavour just running straight forward, already on fire. I wonder if it propels him to run, or if he just gets so excited he catches a flame.
I think maybe it's both.
Imagine if you weren't on the hero course and you weren't doing any training to control your quirk, or you're a young boy and you get really excited by something, you're just sitting there and you catch fire.
That would be horrible.
Yeah. And then we see Izuku, and he's just watching the back of Endeavour's flames and saying, he was off and running before we even heard the sonic boom. That goes beyond just speed. They're all trying to catch up. Shoto telling us that Endeavour is now going into flash fire, so he's really, literally booming away above the traffic, like who's the X-Men character? Is it Cannonball?
Yeah.
Yeah,
His
that's
lower
what
half. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this reminded me of. And we can see in a block of offices there are a lot of people looking outside with we don't know his name yet, but Wizard Man floating on balls. The dark stars collude and conspire. They must be halted. And the people in the office. Isn't that Star Servant from over the second ward? He's been yapping like that since this morning. This land will soon be cloaked in darkness. And with that, we can see what we think is just a flash of light, but then we learn he sucked up all the glass. This geezer's off his rocker. He can't afford to wait for the heroes to show. We can see that what Star Servant's done is it looks like he's just soaked up all the glass and made it into a liquid, and that's what's creating those flying balls that he's using for transport. And he says, "Flee, good citizens. I am he who will destroy the root cause of this darkness."
Oh. And we go on to the next page, and we have a huge, giant glass ball, though I still wanted to refer to them as fushigi balls from the last chapter we read. But we see the people in the office, they look like they're panicking. He's like, "Reveal yourself, Herald of the Dark Lord." And I guess the giant ball is about to get crashed in by Endeavor's flash fire, and we go to the next page and see flash fire, bwam! Or flash fire fist, bwam! And he's like, "So you control glass, huh, old man? That's a fine skill you've got. But what I'm not getting is why you thought you'd get away with it in my territory." And he's Endeavor's just looking all cool and junk.
And his outfit's a little different, yeah?
Yeah, it is a little different. That's what I was about to say. He's got like, I don't know what's going on with his shoulders.
They look like almost like jetpack propulsors or something like that.
Oh, that might be why he was going so fast.
Maybe he got that from Detnerat.
Dun dun dun.
And his belt looks like Meta Knight. Anyway.
That does look like Meta Knight.
I see it. Next page, we have the employee looking out from the building saying, "Endeavor, youch, that's hot. Too hot. Let's get out of here." Because obviously, like, all the glass is gone, so the heat is going directly into the building now. And you see this guy again. "Ah, my throat, it burns." And like, I really like the detail of it looks like the heat is kind of distorting like how clean the lines would have been, like detailing his face.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, like it looks a little bit like a heat wave, like, yeah. And then next panel, he flees on his Mystic Fushigi balls with a zoop, and then Endeavor quickly follows as looks like another hero on the scene just noticed him and is trying to and Endeavor tells him to evacuate the area. They go further into the alley. Next page, more action scenes of Endeavor chasing, and he turns around. He's coming, and then at the very edge of the alley outside, it looks like he was setting up an ambush. And people go, "Yes, master!" And you see a guy jumping over with a lead pipe, and someone else with a knife, and someone else holding something. I'm not sure what that is.
I thought it was like rope or something.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I see. He's holding the rope with one hand. It's probably coming from his body. That's probably his quirk.
Yeah.
The two men at the bottom, the one that's got the long hair and the beard, it's probably the way that it's drawn, but I would not trust that beard. It looks much too much like a fake Santa beard that someone just puts on. And the other guy looks like a villain version of Ozawa.
He looks
Yeah.
like Brooke before he turned into a skeleton for some reason. And then the guy on top just reminds me of Sabo with the lead pipe.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm getting like Mad Clue vibes with the lead pipe, knife, and the rope.
Yeah. And then next up, we skip to the next page, and it's like in the middle of all that action, all is it all three or just Deku and Bakugo? They show up and they intercept the attacks. So Endeavor catches the guy, and he's not like hit by any of the attacks. And then also Endeavor turns his head and he sees these feathers coming, and he goes, "Huh?" Immediately after, it's like this whole scene happens in a matter of like 2 seconds. We see Hawk show up. Oh, trainees! And immediately there are all these feathers whooshing around, and he goes, "My bad. Looks like I was a little faster." And Deku is like, "Hawks?"
Yeah, it is just Deku and Bakugo there. So I'm wondering if it harks back to the start of the chapter when Shoto's a bit ambivalent about whether he should join in or not. Maybe he's caught up and he sees his dad there and he's like, he wouldn't like me getting involved. So he just hangs back. Okay, and then we see Izuku and Bakugo, and the two villains that they tried to intercept and help have been completely stolen by Hawks. He really intercepted their thunder. And Hawk says, "Seems like you're in trouble, Endeavor." "Me? Not a chance." You can tell inside he's so insulted by that. And we see Shoto was there. He was just hanging back, and he looks really surprised. And Hawks goes up to him and says, "But it seemed that way, didn't it, Shoto?" Trying to get him on side. She's like, Endeavor continues, "You're supposed to contact me when you're in town." Possessive. And then Hawk says, "I'm not. I mean, I was just passing by. Get off my back."
Okay, so next we have the police arresting the henchmen of Star Servant, and they're yelling, "Star Servant ordered us to do it." And then Star Servant says, "Unhand me, or else our fates are sealed." Then another police officer is like, "We've got it from here." And Endeavor says, "Thanks." Star Servant says, "That one is the root cause," about Endeavor, and it shows Endeavor too. It says, "His shining light beacons the dark. It precipitates our demise." And the police officer, with some pointy ears, he says, "Zero casualties yet again. As long as you're watching over this town, we're safe and sound." Midoriya says, "Hello, my name is Midoriya."
Perfect impression.
And Hawks is like, "You're the kid who smashes up his own fingers, right?"
Two great introductions.
Yeah. And then Hawks uses Tokuyami's hero name, Tsukuyomi. Filled me in. Man, I wish I could have worked with that kid again. And then Midoriya's like, "But isn't Tokuyami back at your agency?" And Hawks is like, "Yeah, down in my hometown with my sidekicks, but I've got too much going on to be there. I feel kind of bad." Then he gives some knowing glance kind of toward Bakugo, and then he's like, "About it." Then Bakugo says, "Back there, I was faster." And then Hawks is like, "Huh, you think so?" And then Endeavor's like, "Well, Hawks, what do you want?" And Hawk says, "Want? Oh, nothing, really. But have you read this book, Endeavor?" Looking all...
Have you heard about our Lord and Savior Distro?
Yeah. Yeah. And Midoriya's like, "Meta Liberation War?" And Endeavor emotes a question mark. Then, let's see here. Then Hawk says, "I mean, you must have heard of it. This thing's been flying off the shelves lately, and after those townspeople in Deika fought for their lives, the book's been getting even more attention. Sorry, I have to beat around the bush so much. It was written way back when, but it feels really relevant today. Like this quote, when freedom is only granted to a select few, the burden necessarily shifts to everyone else. If you don't got time for heavy reading, I highlighted the must-read parts. It outlines Destro's ultimate ideal, a society held together by personal responsibility." It's perfect for this day and age. And then it shows Endeavor again. But I think Hawks is still talking or thinking. This is the only way I can get the message across right now. And Endeavor says, "What are you talking about?" And then Hawk says, "Imagine it, Endeavor, a world where we've got time to kill. Not time to kill, but time to kill." Yeah, anyway. Please pick up what I'm saying. Number one hero. And then we've got, like, Endeavor, like, imagining Hawks in a sexy pose. Anyway, and he says, I want to make this world one where heroes have time to kill. And the next chapter hits October 6th.
Was that Endeavor saying next chapter hits October 6th or Hawks?
I would say Hawks is like the infomercial in this last couple pages. So yeah, probably Hawks.
Trying to push his religion on us.
I was gonna say, like, the face in that, like, flashback is like, yeah, next chapter hits October 6th.
Yeah, it's very, like, to be continued.
Before we break the chapter down a little bit, should we go around and see what everyone thinks of the chapter? If we start with you, James.
I didn't like how shortchanged Star Servant was. I thought he would have been a cooler wizard, but he was just a old coot.
You wanted some Harry Potter madness.
I wanted more wizardry stuff. I mean,
You wanted more Fushigi.
Yes, I wanted more Fushigi. But I like the way he was, like, saying, like, the Dark Stars collude and conspire and stuff like that.
On that note, I think he means. When I first read it, I thought the same thing, that like, it seems like it's obvious that he's talking about Endeavor. But now I'm thinking about it. If it's not that he is just your regular sad story of a homeless person with mental health illness who thinks everyone's conspiring against everything, I think he'd probably be talking about Hawks rather than Endeavor, because we don't ever see him saying that Endeavor is the naughty one that he's talking about. And we do know that Hawks is, like, in that area, really close. So I think it could be Hawks instead.
Mm-hmm.
But did you like the chapter?
Yeah, I liked it. I'm just sad about Star Servant not being as cool as I thought he was. I hyped him up too much in my head.
He got more screen time than the guy that got stronger the more embarrassed he got, so
that's true.
Marion, what did you think?
I thought it was good. Actually, like, the last chapter, when I read it, I was like reading it before bed, and I completely forgot about Star Servant. So then I was like, oh wait, I knew that Endeavor was basically, like, going to fight someone, but then I was like, oh shit, the whole power is, like, controlling glass, and all of these little, like, glass balls floating around. Like, for some reason, like, it didn't register with me that we saw that last chapter. But I enjoyed seeing Endeavor's new suit. I think it looks really cool. It kind of reminds me a little bit of, like, Hawk's wings, because of the fact that, like, they protrude outside, and then his flames, I guess, are, like, the propellant.
That's the same thing I thought when I first saw it too.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if, like, maybe even if he's not showing it, he's still being, like, influenced, I guess, by working with Hawks.
And I want to be a bird too.
I'm sure, like, Endeavor probably has, like, the dexterity or, like, control over his quirk to be able to, like, form shapes with his flames, but he probably wouldn't do that in public because people would talk too much. But I'm curious if, like, Star Servant, with, like, him shouting his gospel, and then, like, also the same chapter, Hawks is here with his Metal Liberation War book, if they're related specifically in that Star Servant was maybe, like, a rogue agent, maybe not, like, someone actually part of the Liberation Army, but, like, maybe he not defected, but, like, he went on his own kind of tirade, and then I don't know what I'm trying to, like, theorize here, but I feel like he's related to the Metal Liberation Front.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he thought he had more pull than Slide and Go did in the organization.
Yeah.
Maybe he looks like the kind of person. I wonder what specifically, because like the way it's framed, I thought also at first it was like he was referring to Endeavor, like his shining light beckons the dark, it precipitates our demise. Like, is it because of the fact that he's like a hero who isn't really like personable, like he has like that kind of like raw power, but he's not charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
So it invites more danger than safety or something like that.
It could be. I kind of have a theory on it too, like what he's hinting at.
Tell us your theory.
Yeah, let's hear it out, man.
Okay. Well, it goes along with kind of exactly what you're saying, but like he's talking about how the darkness and the end. Well, I don't know if he's saying the end is coming, but like, and then saying that one is the root cause. And I think he's talking about Endeavor because Endeavor is the target. As the number one hero, like obviously he has a huge target on his back, and he's going to be the one that the darkness or the bad organization is going to come at. So it's going to appear that he is the reason that they really start this whole attack, is because he's going to be the first target. He's probably going to be taken down, and then it's going to go from there and get worse.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that, like his shining light beckons the dark. So it's kind of like what I think of, not so much Moth the Flame, but like the darkness surrounding the flame, like it's like coming at it. Is what I think about. And then at the end, it's pretty obvious what Hawks is trying to do. He's trying to warn Endeavor without saying it flat out, because he's got microphones on his wings, and everything he's saying is being monitored. But he's saying things like basically revealing the whole plot of that whole last arc, where he says after those townspeople in Deika fought for their lives, the book's been getting even more attention. So he's like saying this book is the root cause of that. Like you need to, like, there's more to this than what the media was exposing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem that super deep to me, but like it feels very kind of obvious what's going on here. He's trying to get him to like pick up on like your life is in danger. You need to put two and two together, bro.
I think I think that's basically like the right track. But then I think also like something to take note. I think the fact that he said I highlighted the must-read parts. This could mean like two things. It could mean like, oh, to get Endeavor to actually read a book, probably only pick out the good parts for him or something. But then also like it could be like a code, like whatever he does highlight is something that it could work as like not like foreshadowing, but like this is like parts that are actually going to be incorporated in whatever kind of plan the front is going to like be like doing.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that like he used that same phrase, a world where we've got time to kill, connecting to what he said at the when they were on their lunch date. Like that specific choice of words, even like I know, sorry to cut you off, I know that he's basically like a triple agent. I'm not sure that the people listening in on him like know about that, or he probably had the chips on it back then. I don't know if they can make the connection or not, but it sounds like a good kind of like a good piece of dialogue for being really ambiguous, but also like both parties that he's technically talking to are listening in, so they can pick up on.
Right. I have a feeling like that Endeavor is gonna like go right past him, but then the kids are gonna like figure out what this conversation really meant in hindsight, maybe. It's like, yeah, I know. I can't imagine Endeavor reading a book. It's
Right. I'm glad I'm not alone.
I like that Hawks gave him the Cliff Notes version.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Do you think that Endeavour will pick up on it? Because I think the face that he's making, it looks like he's thinking, but is he
He's
just
definitely
thinking?
trying.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's trying to think.
It looks like he's like hurting himself a little bit. But yeah, like he's giving so much indication. Like he's saying this thing's been flying off the shelves lately. It has to do with Deika. Yeah, like I don't know. It's like he's trying to spell it out for him without spelling it out.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's kind of a cool, like it's really random, but it's kind of a cool thing.
But do you think anyone who is listening in from to Hawks will think that this is a code or see anything in it, anything naughty?
Mm.
Oh,
Treacherous,
yeah.
I should have said rather
I said
than
naughty. I was like, what the heck?
I mean, that word does fit Hawks. I mean,
He's a naughty boy.
gosh.
I should have
Um,
said treacherous.
I think it's possible. Just like, or maybe they could be thinking like, it could be like two things. Like either they're suspicious about bringing attention to the pro hero, like the number one pro hero, about like the resurgence of this text, or it could also be like, maybe this is another potential recruit that we can have on our sides if they think he's like dumb enough to manipulate.
Yeah,
Endeavor specifically.
that's what I'm thinking too. Is that they just think they'll think he's just trying to recruit him.
Mhm.
I wonder whose job it is in their organisation to do the listening in on Hawks.
Slide and go. I want it to be slide and go.
No,
He
slide and
he
door.
wants to be a bigger part of this organization. He's got to do more.
The first step for slide and go is like guarding the door to the person who actually does that.
Yeah. I feel like Slide and Go would be too bitter to be able to do this job properly.
He does the coffee runs.
Yeah.
I was thinking Jiro's mom maybe is a member and she can listen.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Did
They'll show
anyone-
her for one panel and that'd be it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and
go
be
ahead.
like, oh yeah. No, I'm good.
Did anyone else's heart drop when we found out that, well, it sounds like we're pretty much almost definitely not going to see Tokoyami in the
Yeah. I was really disappointed.
Same. Oh, I got myself so excited when I saw that Hawks was going to be in this and they were doing the internship. I was like, yeah, Tokoyami's going to be with them. We're going to find out more about him. We're going to see him do more cool stuff. At least we're going to see him hilariously be carried around by Dark Shadow. No.
Right.
No, we're not.
I miss my goth son.
Yeah, I was
Honestly-
pretty crestfallen.
Good choice of words. That just reminded me, Tokoyami's definitely the kind of kid who would shop at Hot Topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hawks is Spencer's. Anyway.
Oh my god. Wait, Sophie, do you know what Spencer's is?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Can somebody else do a better explanation than I could? 'Cause
It's
sort of...
a sex shop, I guess.
It's not
Oh.
quite that bad. It's like it has a front. It has a front of like cutesy like hats and t-shirts, but then when you get in the back, that's where the sex stuff comes in. It's pretty
All the
disturbing.
adult naughty stuff.
Yeah, like blow up dolls and I don't know if
Toys.
there's porn and stuff, but joints.
Toys, I guess.
Oh yeah, toys, stuff like that. I usually always avoid it unless I like go into like the first 2 feet of the store.
Yeah, because sometimes they have like regular T-shirts and stuff, but then when you go in the back, it's all like party stuff, like
Yeah.
hookah stuff and like different ways to get drunk, I guess. And then they have the adult stuff too.
To go back to the chapter, does everyone else think that he's talking about Endeavour and not Hawks, Star Servant?
Yeah, I think Endeavor.
I
Yeah.
couldn't tell, honestly, just because like he's really like the direction he's looking at. I don't know if he's really even looking at somebody. I mean, it looks like it's implied that he's looking at Endeavor, because you see him sort of turn his direction when he's getting into the police car, but he's at the door when he's close up. I just don't know if he's talking about Hawks or Endeavor in that situation.
I think the evidence for Endeavor is probably the fact that like Endeavor said himself, like, oh, you thought you'd get away with it in my territory, and then earlier when we saw Hawks, was it in the last chapter that he was like on the skyscraper, and he's like, oh, with bad timing, and then later he says like, oh, I was just passing by, I wasn't really gonna be in town for a bit, so he wasn't really supposed to be there. Hawks.
Oh, that's
Hawks
a fib. He was definitely supposed to be there. He came with his highlighted book.
I know, but I think I'm sorry, Scar Servant probably wouldn't have been aware that he was around.
Oh, that's true. And that was the whole reason he was doing his little shtick here with the Fushigi balls. So
Yeah.
maybe it is Endeavor. I'm just bad at subtext.
Yeah. I don't think it's like saying like I don't want to spoil well, it's not spoiling much of Dragon Quest XI, but like it's kind of like that where like certain people think that the main good guy is bad because he like the bad stuff starts happening because he's there to fight it. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Star Servant's words are like they're so cryptic enough that like at this point it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll see him again. I think this will maybe just be like a sort of thing that happens whenever we see Hawks. We'll see a weird villain turn up for a few panels, then go. But I do agree with James that I wish that we'd seen more of Star Servant because he was interesting. I'd have liked him to have been like a Romanian gypsy kind of, with his like mystic glass balls, seeing some of the future, but it's like warped, so he could see the future, but his like paranoia was making it this like nasty future that it wasn't, and he could have some sort of, I don't know, caravan powers.
I wanted him to be like a 60s, 70s psychedelic type, and like I don't know, have like a Batmobile, but it's like a wizard van.
Okay.
But it didn't happen.
That's a very niche type of wizard that I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
All the stereotypical wizards.
Oh, I'm talking about like just this, because he's an old guy. He's just into like 60s and 70s psychedelic stuff, and there's a lot of like wizard stuff and like Lord of the Rings stuff in that. I know it's a very weird thing, but I used to know all about this, so I'm not saying I've written research papers on it or anything, but
You have a van with like a tiger painted on the side or something.
Heck yeah.
I can see it. I wanted to, I don't know if we're talking about that little segment still, but I wanted to talk about the height comparison between Todoroki and Hawks. He's a little shorter than Todoroki. I was kind of shocked by that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice the height difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, they show them in like two little panels together.
Interesting.
We know that Hawks is short. On the wiki, the thing is, he wouldn't, for like real life, he wouldn't be, except in like, I don't know, some places like Northern Europe, he wouldn't be short. He's like an average height. I think he's 5'7". But in this universe, everyone seems to be of like a 5'8", 5'9" height for men, or 6 foot or something.
For adults, yeah.
Yeah.
But kids are kind of shorter in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because they're at 15. I think Todoroki is one of the taller ones in the class. We do have heights for all of them. But
okay. Yeah.
Hawks is supposed to be small. I guess maybe because he's based around a chicken theme.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, so his body's a little more aerodynamic or something, that there's less to carry.
He's a chicken hawk, but I don't know if anybody knows the Looney Tune reference.
Yeah, Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah. Out
in New York, my buddy, one of my friends at Dave & Buster's in the claw machine, he won Foghorn Leghorn plushie. So.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
I love Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah. And then the guy's like, "You're a chicken, and I'm a chicken hawk." You know, that kid. Sophie's like totally like.
We're way off topic. I forgot what we're talking about now.
Sorry.
I have double checked, and Hawks is 5'7¾", which is 172 centimeters, and Todoroki is 176 centimeters, which is 5'9¼ .
Okay.
I'm a 1/4 inch taller than Hawks. That's just.
Oh, okay.
I'm 5'8", so I don't know what that is in centimeters. For some reason, America doesn't believe in the metric system.
Hey, can we look at the top panel? I don't know what page it is. It's when they're arresting Star Servant.
Mm-hmm.
But on the left with Endeavor, like how his flames are with that back, the new back piece, it looks very butterfly or moth.
Oh, I see.
Maybe it's part of a fire metaphor for his transition from, I don't know.
Oh, larvae.
Yeah, bastard larvae to
He's Marthra.
cocoon. Yeah, to angry cocoon to still angry but just mildly annoyed butterfly.
That's awesome.
I was rage, then I was anger, and now I'm annoyance. So when Endeavour got very annoyed, well, not very annoyed, but he got annoyed at Hawks coming in and kind of stealing his thunder, taking these two other minor villains, and then Bakugo also gets annoyed at Hawks for taking the villain from him and says, like, I was faster.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that little bit of characterization showing that similarity between them.
But Bakugo didn't say much this chapter. I think is that his only line?
He had yeah, you're right, it is, because he didn't say anything at the start. That's his only line.
Yeah, we didn't really do much.
I was kind of wondering too when like Hawks is talking and then he interrupts himself and like has that glance, like because it looks more significant than I'm guessing it is, but it was just like probably him noticing Bakugo's sour expression, which I mean, that's all that Bakugo ever really does, so it shouldn't stand out that much.
It would put me off if I was standing there having a mildly nice conversation about someone, and then there was just this kid staring at me like I hate you.
Staring you.
Die.
Yeah.
But what I will say about that page actually is I'm surprised how much, because we know that Hawks was already grilling Tokuyami for information about the rest of the students, but he could have known just from watching the sports festival that Izuku is the one who broke his fingers. But instead he said that Tokuyami told him, so I wonder how much information he did pull out of Tokuyami. Like if he's got an Excel spreadsheet on all the kids in 1A and their class and their quirks.
That'd be creepy, but I don't know.
Maybe he didn't actually watch the festival. Maybe he was busy doing something.
Yeah, that would make sense. He was busy and then someone just said, oh, there's a bird guy, and he was like, yes, I'll have him.
I don't know how long the plan was for him, like, basically infiltrating the organization, but then, like, depending on that, like, he could have been, like, that's what I'm thinking, was that he probably missed out because of something related to that, or he's just bringing him up to be, like, kind of to, like, open them up, because, like, oh, yeah, I know this kid who is in your class or whatever.
Did Hawk say when he first met Tokuyami, did he say that he also wanted Shoto from his class? Or am I making things up? I could be making things up.
I don't remember.
Does anyone else have anything about the chapter that they wanted to discuss?
I think I've said all I could say. I can't hype up Star Servant any more than I already have. So.
Yeah, I think I'm good. The only thing I think I'm kind of sad that like Star Servant, like his power wasn't really put to great use, I think, because like thinking about it, like controlling glass and like making it like levitate, like being able to like fly on glass the same way that like this is like the same principle that like Tokuyami flies, like his shadow can float, so he just carries himself on his shadow. It could have been like really crazy, like super, I don't know, like he could have made like glass to make like lenses and then like focus light and like burn stuff or something.
Oh, that'd be cool. That's what I was wondering, if he had like certain control of his glass powers, like he could make different shapes and stuff, and like he's not using his powers very well. He could have an industrial type job.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good quirk. I just,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's
Missed
like the
opportunities.
Magneto of glass.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
then Endeavor should have had a wooden gun and and thwarted him. I don't know if y'all ever seen it. That's from the Amazing Spider-Man cartoon, if I recall
Oh, back
correctly.
in the day, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where Magneto's like freaking out because I can't remember who had a wooden gun. He's like, "A wooden gun? Oh no!" And he's just like freaking out about it because he couldn't control it.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
I'm glad you said that, because if Starsight had was allowed to use his quirk to like make and manipulate glass, he could have made a lot of money and also saved people money. Like, glass is expensive, but obviously he wouldn't be allowed to do that in this society, which is a real shame.
I
Yeah.
thought you were gonna say that my wooden gun idea was a good one. I was like, oh.
And then the rest of the story is all those windows don't have glass now,
Mm-hmm.
unless they like when they arrested him, like, okay, now put all that glass back, and then think about what you've done, you know.
Oh yeah, they're going to be so chilly.
And well, they're gonna like fall out of like 6-story buildings.
What do you think? Because there's no glass there, people are just going to be falling out the glass. Oh, I just wanted to walk into the window.
Well, whenever I'm in tall buildings, I like to lean against the glass. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm like such a klutz. Like, as soon as it's in my mind, it's gonna happen, you know.
Was there anything else to add to the chapter?
I think
I'm
we're
good.
Cool. Would you like to play the Gary game or the tournament game?
We played the Gary game twice in a row, and then we have 4 people total now, so we could
Yeah.
totally do a tournament arc.
Cool.
This is my hero academia.
Okay, so I will explain the game. So welcome to the tournament game, My Hero Academia podcast. We've only played this once before. So the rules are that there are 4 different rounds. 2 people are competing in each round, and the third person is the judge. We have a character each, and you will come up with a scenario and ways of which your character would fight and defeat the other character. And then your opponent will say how they would fight and defeat the opponent. You don't have to rebuttal against the other person. It's your own scenario. You can make it as feisty or funny or emotional. No one's gone for an emotional heart-wrencher yet. Maybe now would be the time. And the judge at the end will decide whose the version they liked the most, whether it's because they thought it was realistic or, I don't know, it was just for them. So there's 4 different rounds. One person will not be competing in each round, but there will be 2 rounds each where you will be competing, and then there'll be just 1 round where you're judging. So the first round is Gary, whose character is Solid Air from Class B, and James, you chose Star Servant.
Yes, I
Marion,
did.
you will be judging, and the way I've, in case anyone thinks there's, I don't know, there could be any bias, I've just done these 3 rounds going in alphabetical order, so it's simple. So that's how it's ended up. So James, we have your character. Oh, you're going second. Gary, you're going first with Solid Air versus James's Star Servant, and Marion. The power is in your hands.
I will put this to good use.
Okay, so here's what I was thinking. Solid Air, he can create a glass-like, what is it? I can't even think of the word. Like a glass-like substance with his breath. But it doesn't mean that it's glass, because it isn't glass. It's something else. And so while Star Servant can control glass, he would be unable to control the glass-like substance that Solid Air creates. So easily he could be encased by it. Like what I envision is that they're in like this self-created maze of glass and these solid air panels, trying to like chase after each other. But if anything comes toward solid air, he can create a barrier from it. So if he's being attacked with glass, the glass isn't going to be strong enough to break his barrier because it's the same material, unless it gets enough velocity, but it won't because we're in a confined space from all the glass and solid air. So Star Servant isn't a student, he's an old man. So if he's not going to be able to bust the glass on his own, or the solid air, I should say. So he's definitely at a weak spot in this whole situation. He can be confined easily without having any way to break out of it. Solid air is able to succinctly encapsulate and suffocate Star Servant because he's an older man. He needs all the air he can get. So it's it's a little bit more of a struggle if he's encapsulated in anything. That's kind of my argument. He can't control the air that solid air creates, so he's had a definite weakness here. But
how would he... I guess he could also protect himself from the glass of his solid air.
Right.
Sorry,
right,
I'm not supposed to be participating.
But I did say that point already, so you're not adding anything.
Right. James, what's your story?
I don't know. This is a really hard one. Gary made a pretty strong case, honestly. But there wasn't really a scene set, so I'm just assuming they're just fighting just because they end up just fighting each other, or is there any other like set conditions?
That's kind of up to you for you to decide. Like, my thought is just they're fighting because one's a villain and one's a good guy.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I should have thought of something then instead of just sitting here and listening.
They're at the aquarium. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's a good one, but I'm gonna say they're in a city because there needs to be glass here, so they're in the city. And Star Servant is over here preaching his gospel stuff. And who happens to pass by but Solid Air happens just to pass by, and he's like, hey, I should stop this guy from spinning his bullshit. But they get there, they get into a tussle here, and Solid Air is using his quirk, and Star Servant is using his glass quirk, so they're kind of at a stalemate. And I'm assuming here that Star Servant has total glass control here. Mm-hmm. So he cooks up an idea, and this is basically aping Gary's idea of encapsulating him. He ends up encapsulating him in what's called a Prince Rupert's drop. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but
Can you explain it?
Okay, it's a drop of toughened glass that is created by dripping molten glass into cold water, which causes it to solidify into a tadpole-shaped droplet with a long, thin tail. But anyways, that thing is extremely strong. Like, I've seen videos of people shooting it with like bullets and stuff, and it doesn't break the drop part of it. But if you lightly tap the tail end of it, it shatters into a million pieces. What he ends up doing is he ends up encapsulating Solid Air inside of Prince Rupert's drop, which is really bad news for him because A, you really can't break him out because the drop end of it is insanely strong. Like, you can shoot at it and it won't break. And if you clip the tail end of the drop, it causes the glass to shatter, so it would shatter into millions of little pieces in a poor little Solid Air's poor little body. So he would just bleed out. But that's the best I could come up with on such short notice.
Is this technical knowledge that you have from welding that you've used in your attacks?
No, it's mostly just a lot of YouTube videos I've watched on things that don't really matter in my life. Because there's no reason to know about the Rupert's drop, honestly. But I just like industrial things, I guess. That's probably why I ended up, I figured, I could probably use that,
And now you've used that knowledge. Marion, whose story are you going to go with?
Okay, so that the Prince Rupert's drop, I looked it up, and this is actually really interesting. That said, I don't know if Star Servant is smart enough to actually know about this.
My Star Servant does.
Like, this would actually probably be like one of the more like ingenious kind of counters that he could have done. But like we said earlier, like I feel like he probably doesn't have enough control over his quirk to actually do much besides like the spears. In the case that he does though, I would probably give it to him. But in regards to like keeping a defensive game and overall just I think the quirk is more malleable. Yeah. I think Solid Air might win. What really clinches it for me is that being able to like make like walls or like cube shapes to like entrap people.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the clincher for me.
So you're giving it to Gary.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Gary. Gary always does well at this game.
Yeah, I was like, that's okay. I give Gary the win because I could not come up with anything at all. I just had to think of like, I was like, oh no, what is Glass good for?
I just usually have good characters. We'll see what I do with Habuko Mongoose. Goodness.
So you are actually up next as well, Gary. I am fighting the current champion. So this is Recovery Girl, my character, versus Gary's Habuko Mongoose, who, if you don't remember who she is, I don't blame you. She hadn't been in the anime. Habuko Mongoose is the girl who is friends with Sue from her secondary school, or high school in America. And they made friends because they were both shy, and Mongoose, no one wanted to be friends with her because she had a snake head and big ginger hair, and no one seems to like gingers. But we don't really know anything about her quirk other than that she's got a snake head. So good luck, Gary.
Looking at her quirk, it says her quirk is paralysis.
Yeah.
Ooh. You can use some creative license there as well.
Yeah, and then she was in the OVA where they have the zombie thing. I've never seen it, but she's there somewhere. I don't know where to see that.
It's on the DVDs. It's episode 13.5. It might be on Funimation. I'm not sure.
Really? Oh,
but I know it's on the DVDs.
James, you are judging.
I get my revenge. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be fair and partial, I promise. So
I'm up first. And during my introduction where I said no one had gone the emotional route, I thought, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going the emotional route. I'm going to set the scene. All Might has just, we think it's a win, but it's kind of a draw against All for One. He's defeated. There's lots of damage done. The city's destroyed. Hundreds of casualties. Tears everywhere. People are excited for Endeavour. Endeavour? Oh no. People are excited for All Might that he's won, but they're distressed at all the destruction and the chaos that's been caused and seeing him in his skeletal form. Okay. But what else is a tearjerker for this moment? Habuko Mongoose. Her mum has been hurt in this attack. She was caught underneath a pillar.
Oh no.
Oh, poor Mummy Mongoose.
Mongoose, if you will.
Oh, poor Mummy Mongoose. She got caught underneath a pillar. Why is there a pillar in Japan rather than Greece? I don't know, but there was a pillar and she's caught underneath. She has one leg stuck. Habuko Mongoose is trying to help her. She's paralysed her leg to get numb the pain. So Mummy Mongoose is in less pain, but she's still trapped under this pillar. She needs to get free. Recovery Girl arrives, but she can't do anything to save the day. She can just recover people, but not while Mummy Mongoose is underneath this pillar. She's not strong enough to recover her. So she stays and she helps her through the shock while Habuko Mongoose goes off to find a hero. They take the pillar off. Once the hero comes back, I'm going to say that the hero is the Umiwara snake lady. She heard Habuko Mongoose's calls. She called someone else. They get Mummy Mongoose free. And Recovery Girl gives her the kiss of life. She saves her injured limbs. And then Recovery Girl and Habuko Mongoose hug in tears in this triumphant moment where both women have helped each other to save their mum. And it's just like the end of Frozen where the girls have saved each other. So is it a draw? No, it's not a draw. Everyone wins. It's not the same. And therefore, that's my story.
Okay, mad props on the storytelling there. Very impressive.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, brought a tear to my heart. Yeah. Well, if you're going the heart-wrenching route, I guess I'm going like the horror route, 'cause that's where my mind is going. But yes, Habuko Mongoose has the ability to, by staring into someone's eyes, paralyzing their muscles for 3 seconds. But this is at when we were introduced to her, so no doubt she has been able to hone that quirk in order to use it longer. And obviously, well, not obviously, but she is a reference to the Greek mythological character of Medusa, who had snakes for hair, but she was able to turn people to stone by staring at them. So, like with more training and that, no doubt she has been able to get stronger with her quirk. And Recovery Girl, like bless her heart, she has her powerful healing quirk, but she's up there in years, like my last opponent, and it definitely is not suited for fighting, even if she was in her at her peak physically. She's more of a sideline character that's there to support. So in a fighting situation, Huboko does have the advantage. And I feel like after paralyzing Recovery Girl at any given moment, the snake side of her instincts are going to kick in, and she's going to unhinge a jaw. And
Oh my God.
Recovery Girl.
Gary, the
Hey,
theme of both of your fights has been elder abuse.
I was about to say you're being ageist here. But go ahead.
These are the cards I've been dealt. You know, you got to adapt. So yeah, that's my argument. Just it's pretty bad, but that's where I'm going.
What was Habuko Mongoose's? What was her motivation?
It was a fight for survival.
Why? What was the scene of them fighting for survival?
A villain like captured everybody. I'm just making this up now, but a villain captured everybody and told them, or basically the rules were set forth. It's like you have a one-on-one match and only one person could survive. So, or both of them would be killed. So Habuko, being the insecure child, she gave in to fear and decided to fight instead of to stand back. And Recovery Girl lived a long life, and she acquiesced and allowed this to happen.
So now that I've pressed you for a backstory, you've gone for the Hunger Games.
Yeah, Hunger Games or Battle Royale or something. Yeah.
They were captured by Jigsaw from Saw.
Yeah, Jigsaw and Arcade from Marvel Comics.
Oh man.
Two very different options, James.
I know it's a tough one to choose because your story had heart and Gary hates elders. Since these were just both two different genres of stories, since Gary went the horror route and Sophie went the emotional route. As much as I like horror, I'd have to give it to Sophie just because it was really well spoken.
Yeah.
It was really well written. You did good, Gary, but
I was flying off the seat of my pants, if you can't tell.
Technically, my story ended in a draw, so we're both winners. I mean, they're both winners.
Uh-huh.
This would be the second time I voted for a draw.
Okay, so the third round is Marion with your character Mina, and I'm interested to see how you compete. What will Marion's competitive style be? And you are going against myself, who has Hiryu Rin, who I completely forgot I didn't forget about him, but I forgot about his quirk. So he is also known as Dragon Shroud from Class 1B with a quirk of scales, which allows him to form scales on his entire body that are durable and strong and perfect to use as combat, and he can shoot those scales from his body with considerable speed and strength as an attack. Thank you, Wikipedia. And Marion, you are going first. Start whenever you've thought of a story.
Okay. I'll do this off the cuff as well. So my scenario is his name Hiryu?
Mina. Oh yeah, your character's Mina. Let's just call my one Scales.
Scales, okay. So is Scales a student?
Yes, in Class 1B.
Okay. So, all right, context for this is going to be immediately after the joint training camp with both classes. Everyone is still like in like their hero uniforms and stuff, but they had just got back to the dorms, and as things are winding down, they have like an off the cuff kind of like a not like a mixer, but like everyone gets together and like has food and stuff, and like they have fun, like they listen to music and stuff, and then Mina ends up challenging people to dance offs, and at some point Scales is like, hey, you can't just be challenging people like that willy-nilly. I don't like the way you do things around here, class 1A or whatever. And then she's like, oh yeah, let's bring it on. Let's have a match or whatever. And so they go to one of the training rooms made by Cementos. And as they're there, they're basically like having like a duel, like on one of the circular arenas, I guess. And the way the fight would go, I think, would be at first Scales would probably have the upper hand because like his defense by like calling forth the Scales would probably be enough to like withstand the acid that she pours out. But I think that Mina has a lot more mobility, as we have seen from her previous dance-offs and like breakdancing in public out of nowhere. Yeah, like Mina has like a lot of mobility. Like we've seen her like just make friends with people just from like breakdancing in front of them in the streets. She's also because of her recent like uniform change, where on like the soles of her shoes, they also have like holes so that she can like shoot acid and like slide on the floor. I think that she'd be able to basically overcome the defense by like, instead of like just directly attacking with acid, she would be able to like basically outmaneuver him and probably use like, I don't know, probably like some grappling techniques or just like wear out the Scales with like continued acid both on the floor so that it like melts whatever kind of like shoes the Scales' uniform has or whatever, and then like the continuous overuse of like actual like making Scales and then like either shooting them out as like a projectile. He's probably gonna grow more tired of that, and like the way it works, I think it's probably gonna be kind of like Kirishima and Tetsu Tetsu, where like the longer and like the more often that they use the quirk, the more it's gonna be harder to keep it up. So yeah, I think she's gonna have like a mix of like not using her quirk too much, but then also like breaking down the endurance of the Scales while being able to like use her mobility to take him down.
KK. Noted.
I really liked your story. I like that I like the setting of a dance. I like that you drew in on Mina's character. I like what you were saying about those the quirks, how she would use it, going through his armor penetration. So I'm going to go for a romance story, and what I should have been doing, I realise I've gone for different themes, but I've not gone for a romance theme yet. And what I should have been doing was thinking about my theme and going second to my advantage, but I got too drawn into yours, so...
That was my real plan.
Yeah. Also, bigging up your story is probably not helping my case. So, the setting starts at the very same dance, but in an alternate universe. So what your story didn't happen, but mine did. They're at the dance. Mina's showing off her sick moves. I don't know if I can get away with saying that with my accent. Rin's in the background. We've seen him. We know he's quite shy, but we're confident with it. He's an intellect. He's watching Mina go. He's drawn into her raccoon-like eyes. He's thinking how beautiful she is. She's so confident, the way she owns the room. And she stands up for how she looks different. She knows she does, but she's not letting it hold her back. And he looks at himself and his scales that sometimes just randomly turn up. He thinks, oh, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could be more mammal than reptile. He's drawn into her personality. Over the last few weeks, he's watching her from afar in a safe, non-stalkery way.
Oh my God.
They then have a training battle, a training class together. They're teamed up. They use this opportunity to get to know each other. Mina sees in him things that she really appreciates. She's not an intellect, we know that. She appreciates that in Rin. She likes his quiet confidence, the way he sits back and watches before he acts. They're appreciating each other's opposites. They're getting to know each other, and they're happy with it. Romance develops. They start dating. But then, what happens? Ooh, Kirishima happens. Remember that in the manga when we have the cherry blossom background?
Ooh.
Oh, yes. Mina and Kirishima go on their internship together. They get closer. And then he's dropping her off outside the... I don't know why he's dropping her off. They're in the same building. But before they go into their dorm, they look. They share a moment. Those bloody cherry blossoms come back in the background. They're looking into each other's eyes. They had a hard day at their internship fighting baddies. It was emotional for them. Rin is coming just along the path as he sees them two together. But caught up in the moment, they kiss. Kirishima then goes into the building. Rin is left. He's upset. He's outraged. He knew Mina was confident, but he trusted her. She was bad to that trust. He comes up to her, he says, Mina, why? She says, I don't know, I'm sorry. And a fight ensues. I took that whole time for backstory.
Wow.
So how do they fight? Well, I'll tell you. Mina, she's apologetic. She feels bad. She's confused. Rin doesn't want to hurt her, but he needs to get his emotions out. He's throwing his scales just, I don't know, around her. Like, in the police cutouts on the ground, when she steps forward, behind her, on the ground, there's a cutout of scales from her silhouette. That's how good he is. But then she's angry. She's saying, hey, you could have hit me. You didn't, but you could have done. Oh, she's enraged. And we know that she is a fiery lady. So she starts throwing her acid back, but in her haste, she actually hits him. Oh, no, he's got a burnt knee. And now it becomes a serious battle. I'm taking too much waffle time. Okay, so he's been hurt now. He's got his scale armor up. He's full green scaly. You could almost think that he was Spinner, but he's not. So he's got his armor up. He's throwing his scales. He's trying to get them to go through her clothing to hold her back onto the building. But instead, they're cutting her skin as they go through, but they're not big enough to hold her in. She's getting lacerated. She's throwing her acid at him, but his scale armor is holding up. He's strong. He's got this. She's getting more and more flustered. She's making mistakes. She's trying to use her acid feet to mobilize. And she's doing well. But Rin is an athletic, thin gentleman. He jumps, he runs. He hasn't got the anger fluster that he had before. He's got their armour. He's throwing his scales at her, and then it catches. It gets her on the... what's the bit of the blazer that folds down at the top? The collar. The scales go through the collar. They hold her against the wall. She can't fight. She's immobilized. And he says to her, Mina, why did you do this to me? And she breaks down in tears. She's so upset. She's attached to a wall. She's got all these lacerations. She's tired. Her feet hurt from skidding. She says, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. And she cries. And then Rin turns round and walk away. Mina's not only defeated, but she's upset. She's humiliated, she's angry at herself, she's confused, and that's the end of the scene.
Wow. That was way more engrossing then.
Yeah, you're really good at that. Oh, this is a hard one to judge. If this was like a straight up match, like, it's hard to see Lena losing it with the attack. The quirk side of things, but like Mina is definitely more emotional and not the smartest person.
Mm-hmm.
So both things need to be considered.
Yeah.
This is tough because I don't want to like give it to Sophie just based on backstory. That was really good. But I am going to give it to Sophie because factoring in more than power. Like, we don't see Mina fighting a whole lot, and she lost her battle before the camping training arc. So we know that she has improvement to make. So yeah, I'm gonna vote Sophie this time.
Yay!
But Marion
Not even upset.
No, that's good. Because you definitely gave like a very logical, and like I was like totally on board before I heard Sophie. So
also, Marion, you now have a chance to win back. You are going against James. James, you have the first round, and your character is Nagamasa Mora, who I feel like deserves a recap for everyone. So I think he's in his third year.
He's a second year. On the wiki, it says he's a second year.
Oh, okay, cool. So he's in his second year at Shiketsu High. He is the guy that looks like Cousin It, that has the full body hair. And his quirk is extendo hair, meaning that he can extend and manipulate all that body hair. It's efficient for incapacitating large number of foes. But I think we also saw him using that hair to get rid of, when they were doing the rescue part of the provisional license exam, didn't he use his hair to clear a whole area so that a helicopter could land?
I don't remember, and I just watched this like a couple weeks ago.
I think he did. So he's got good range, and I think he's the class rep as well for them. So he's like, yeah. So he's a strong guy. And Marion, your character is a strong lady. She is Ibarra Shiozakai, who I'm sure everyone can remember. She's not actually done that a huge amount in the series, but she's lovable. So she's from Class 1B. Her quirk is vines. Her vines can grow out of her head, which she can extend, attack, and grapple. She can also detach them as she likes, and she is the one who's very... I'm going to say she's made out to be quite Catholic. A stereotypical Catholic person, because I don't know, yeah, because she talks about faith and crucifixion and like fires of hell and things,
and her techniques as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Apparently, it says that one of her former aliases was Maria, so I wonder if that has to do with the religious part of it.
Could be. So, James, you are up first. Marion, you are going second, and I am the judge.
Got it.
All right. Let me think for a second.
I like that they're both hair quirks.
I know, this is like... I'm trying to think of how I can incorporate all this hair stuff together.
This has been a very Medusa-themed episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Let me see. I'm having a really tough time trying to think of something here.
I'll share my idea at the end because something popped up.
They actually bump into each other in a hair convention that is held around the city every year. Wow, this is so hard. I can't really think of anything.
If you're really nice to Marion, he might let you go second. If you're really struggling.
Can I go second?
Yeah. Sure. I'll think of something. Okay, so I'll go with that setting, the hair convention. So at this convention, they're both debuting different prototypes for different kind of combs for people with quirks similar to theirs, I guess. Ibarra has like a particular one made. So there's like a different type of vine that she can cultivate with her hair, and she does it. She grows it out into like a comb shape, and basically shows like, oh, so this is really good for coarser hair or whatever. And then she offers it to, I forgot the guy's name. Cousin
Nagamasa.
Yeah, Nagamasa. He's like, wait, are you saying my hair is coarse? Are you saying I don't take good care of my hair? I'll have you know, these are the most loveliest golden locks of hair this side of the prefecture. Okay, so and then that's how their quote unquote fight starts. And the way it would go, I guess, is I think Ibarra would she could set up traps on the floor, with her vines like going into the ground and then coming back up. But also whenever Extendo Hair just launches his hair outside to try to grab stuff, she could just kind of wriggle her vines, and the thorns in the vines can just tangle the hair up. And it would be really painful.
This sounds painful.
Yeah. And then I don't know how strong the hair or the vines are, if the hair could be cut by the vines, but it would just be a mess. And we know from experience that she can actually cut off her vines, and apparently on the wiki page it says that if she does that, her hair gets or her scalp gets bald or something, her hair falls out. I don't know, but she could still control vines that are disconnected from her scalp, so it wouldn't be too much of an issue, I think. The main goal would just be to keep on controlling the vines until they wrap up and tie all of the hair that's attacking into knots.
Cool. James, has that inspired you?
Sort of. But I got one now. Okay, so we start off with Nagamasa. He's at the hair salon, and he's actually there to get a perm for some reason.
I dig it.
All right, yeah, he's trying something new, And who walks into that hair salon? It's Ibarra. And Ibarra notices that Nagamasa's getting his perm, and even though she's, she has pure intentions and all that, she makes a catty comment about how the perm looks ridiculous. She didn't mean to, but that's what she said. And this really sets off Nagamasa. He gets really angry at her. And he wants to fight her. So they end up in a fight, and in Nagamasa's rage, he ends up with his extendo hair that's all permed up and curly. He ends up smothering her with his hair. And that's how it ends. Just with his permed hair.
Okay. So I like the idea of both of the settings and the backstory. I don't think that either of you spoke about... Marion, did you speak any more about Nagamasa's quirk?
Honestly, I didn't know much about it. Just the fact that it extends and you can grab people and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But because Ibarra can do the same thing, she could just cover herself with her vines, and then if he decides to cover over her a cage of hair, she can just spread her vines from under the floor and then envelop that.
And James, you did not mention Ibara's quirk at all.
No, because Nagamasa was so mad he just had a giant fistful of hair in her face. He didn't care about her quirk. He just went in and smothered her.
Oh, so he just suffocated her right there in the hairdressers.
Yes, because he wanted to try out a perm, and then she had to be all mean about it.
As much as I love the idea of Nagamasa having a perm, I think I'm going to have to give it to Marion. I think he thought much more about both of their quirks.
Yeah, I had a hard time trying to think of, like, because, I don't know, there's really not much you could say about Nagamasa. He has such a short little, like, wiki page that I'm just like, what else does he do besides just extend his hair? I'm just like, yeah, that was a hard character to think about.
I think the matchup itself was difficult about it.
It's similar. I was like, what is, like, they have hair. I was like, they could go to the hair salon together.
But Gary, you said that you had an idea.
Yeah, I want to hear Gary's idea too.
Oh, just that both of them like go to the hair salon at the same time to get like the hair growth tonic, and there's only one left.
Oh.
So then a death battle ensues. No, not a death battle.
See, at first I did have that kind of idea where Nagamasa makes an appointment to get his hair cut, and Ibara just cuts in front of him.
Ooh.
And then that's how
I
they
can't
fight.
see her doing that. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's too pure. That's why I said I'll just do the one where she makes a comment that kind of sets him off, but she didn't realize it was a mean thing to say.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that is the end of the episode. Thank you all for joining us. Let's start from the way we were introduced. Gary, where can people find you?
They can find me in my apartment, but also at Wrath on Twitter.
Cool. James, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at that one welder guy.
And your podcast?
Oh, maybe I should. Yeah, we have the Dr. Stone podcast it's called Kicking Stones Podcast, and our handle is Dr. Stone Pod, and you can hear us on Apple Podcasts.
Cool. And Marion, where can people find you and your podcast?
I'm at Microwavy, the E before the V on Twitter, and also at the Good Friends Cast on Twitter. I wasn't on this month, but I'm also part of a podcast with Kendra at Haiku Pod. I'm sure she would love for that to be plugged as well.
Okay, cool. So thank you all so much for joining us. This has ran on longer than intended, but I take blame for that. So thank you for joining us. And for the round out, I think we should all take care whenever we go out to have our hair done, not to get in any fights, and stay safe, and then go beyond plus
Ultra.
Ultra.